Mm.
How much bourbon have you had, mate? You look like a scruffy homeless bum right now.
I've had no bourbon yet. No bourbon whatsoever yet.
You're looking scruffy as shit, mate. What's happening?
How about fuck you?
You look like you need a shave. You look like an alco, mate.
We can talk about this in a minute, all right?
Blimey.
Right,
We've
quiet
hit a
for 1
nerve.
minute. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds way better.
Okay.
That sounds way better. Right, I'm going to leave it at that. At least I can work with that. At least it doesn't sound like you were off in the distance this time. Oh, God.
What happens if I just talk from here? That way then I sound really breathy and I can move my
Microphone away.
Sorry.
Blimey.
Oh. You're not a dad until... this is the thing, I discovered this the other day. I talked about it on TikTok. He says, you are not a dad until you can do that absolute banger of a sneeze that scares the life out of someone in the house.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And to be fair, I did realise, I was like, I don't do that. And then, literally, I said it to Edward today, because I've had Edward today on my own, and he was like, yeah, you do it all the time, but I was like, I don't. He went, yeah, you do. You scared.
Damn you, TikTok.
You've scared me more than one occasion when you sneeze, and it sounds like you've loaded a shotgun. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, right, okay, well, that's me told then. That's me put in my place.
Fun you little bastard.
He is.
Tell me what you feel, really.
He is. Oh no, God! Whenever I want to feel humbled, I speak to my son.
It makes sense.
And he does a wonderful job of humbling me very well.
Dorks Down Under.
Anyway, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Dorks Down Under, the podcast where we are here to celebrate everything dorkish and discuss everything and basically have a weekly therapy session. We are available on all good podcast forums, and you can see our beautiful selves on Spotify and on our YouTube channel. Please make sure you do like, share, and subscribe. And make sure you obviously just helps us with all the algorithms and the content, so thank you very much. Joining me across the pond all the way in Australasia, as long as he's not burnt himself to death yet, because it seems I've seen the weather reports.
Yeah, it's been a nightmare, eh?
Jesus. Nightmare is the understatement.
It's been really weird, though, because you get like these 30-degree humid as hell days. Then we get a day of storm that storms for about half the day, but still manages to get up to 25. And then the next day is 30, so it just becomes this humid mess. So, that being said, I have been hiking. I went hiking on Saturday, which was always good. And then next week we have Australia Day on Friday. So,
Australia,
oh man. Well, the 26th is Australia Day, which is kind of like the Americans' 4th of July. The problem is, though, is half of Australia doesn't give a fuck. Half of Australia wants to change the date. And there's a small percentage of people in Queensland that are like, yes, we can't change the date.
Well, I've also seen lots of the TikTok algorithm's gone a bit mad on Australia Day and supporting, saying we need to get rid of it.
I don't think we need to get rid of it, but I do think changing it is probably a very good idea. And the problem with it is, though, is a lot of people are like, oh, what date are we going to choose? Technically, Australia federated on January 1st. So when all the states came together was January 1st. And then all these people are like, well, that's already a public holiday. Okay, then just pick a friggin' day. Maybe one that doesn't celebrate the English coming over and committing mass genocide.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a...
Recreated every year, or up until the last years, in the Ashes, where Australia used to just destroy England, and it was like mass genocide.
Oh, well. It's a good job I don't follow cricket, and I don't give a hoot. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
this week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to discuss the current next generation gaming consoles because I'm really wanting to get one. And...
Ladies and gentlemen, strap in. There's going to be some nerd talk. We're going to be talking about teraflops.
There is now. I am going right. Okay. Now this may immediately get me hate in the comments, and I'm really sorry. Okay, and I'm really sorry. I'm not going to apologize. But I have never ever owned a PlayStation. Okay, because the benefit was that I grew up with having a younger brother, and the benefit of when you have siblings is one of you gets a game console, and the other one will get the rival. obviously. That's
Yes.
the way it works. Like, I started off young. I started off on Nintendo, and my brother got Sega. Okay? So we had a great dynamic immediately, between the SNES and the Sega Mega Drive, and then it continued on from there. Now, okay? Now, when it got obviously to, after the N64 era, oh god, I miss the N64 era. Oh god, it was so good. Although the controller was the weirdest one known to man. Let's be honest.
The one with you hold the two
joystick
legs
in the middle.
and there's a giant knob. And you're like,
Yeah,
what?
and it's just it was the one problem I have, especially because I own a Switch now, is they've released the emulators on so you can play like all the different you can got Game Boy games, you got SNES games, you got everything, and they've got the N64 games. But the control system obviously doesn't work very well with modern day controllers. Because, of course, when they made the N64 games, it was designed around this very, very weird controller. So unless you have, like, a modern day equivalent to slot in, it's really awkward.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, to be fair, though,
I wanted to play GoldenEye so badly, and then I realised that I actually can't. My brain can't comprehend of how I need to move and pivot and shoot. It's like you've got to have another set of hands on the controllers
very much
to
so.
work it. It's impossible.
Well, what's weird though is we grew up and we were quite poor, so we didn't have a lot of these things. But one thing that I did notice is that we actually found during a hard rubbish day Nintendo. We pulled it apart, put it back together, myself, my dad, and my grandfather, who were both engineers at this point, and we managed to put it back together, and it was all golden. And that was my first system. And then obviously, Brendan had every system known to man, my best mate, and I spent so much time there, so that was fine. But yeah, we never had a Nintendo 64. We never had a GameCube. We literally had that, and then when I moved into my first place, I bought myself an Xbox. And then I ended up buying a PlayStation, and I've only ever bought a PlayStation once. And the whole reason I bought it was because I had so much fun playing Guitar Hero at a mate's house. So the next day, I literally went out and I went up, and Shelley, one of my best friends, she works at EB Games, and I'm like, Shell, do you have Guitar Hero, a PlayStation 2, and the Guitar Hero? She's like, yeah, easy. Just come down and pick it up. And I literally went there that day, and then I played for 14 hours. That's what I did on my day off because I had adult money.
Now, basically, I ended up getting an Xbox eventually. It was the Xbox 360. I only ever suffered the red ring of death once on it.
Yeah.
And I got that, and literally I contacted the Xbox. They said, right, package it up, send it off to somewhere in the middle of Germany. No idea where it was. And then I got it back literally 2 weeks later. The same Xbox. Got the same Xbox back with the same serial number and everything else. Because I'm a nerd and I've got to write all this shit down.
Naturally.
And worked like a dream until the day I sold it. Till the day I didn't sell it, I traded it in. Because then I ended up getting the Xbox One.
Yeah.
Because Microsoft have a great way of naming their systems. That's the one thing I'll say about PlayStation. At least they're simple and consistent.
Because I was going to say, because I own the Xbox One. I didn't own the Xbox One. Brendan did. I owned the Xbox 2 and it was literally just for Guitar Hero.
Oh yeah,
and then
the original Xbox, and then he went to Xbox 360, and then he went to Xbox One.
Yeah, and now it's Xbox S and Xbox X. And you're like, that doesn't even make sense in Roman numerals. But you're like, what the hell? But yeah, no, because I think I had the 360, and that was one that I bought, and that lived up to everything. And then for my birthday a couple of years ago, Cherish bought me the Xbox One, and I had an absolute ball on it.
I have to ask a question, right? So obviously you play Guitar Hero, which great game. When that came out, phenomenal game. Everybody liked it. Did you ever play was it Band Hero?
Yeah. Wasn't quite as good. It was a little bit. It wasn't quite as good.
Now you see, I loved Band Hero. It's only because I've always wanted to learn the drums.
Oh, that makes sense.
Suddenly, I got the chance to go from trying to break my pinky finger, which is what it felt like when you had to learn how to go. When you went up from I think it was from medium to hard.
Oh yeah, you had the little blue one. Yeah.
And then suddenly they're bringing in the pinky, and you're like, I can do this. And then you play one song, and your finger is like, please don't. Please, we've never used this muscle. This muscle is not meant to be.
But it is a weird feeling, and I found that with a lot of people. If you went from easy up to medium up to hard, you found you didn't do it. One of my friends gave me the advice is start on hard. You're going to lose a lot, but the problem is at least you get used to using the 4 fingers. What was weird though is I actually had Band Hero complete in box, and when my mum sold her house and moved out, that was one of the boxes that was in there, and my brother sold it for like $400.
Wow.
I did not know that she still had it, but my brother saw it, went, I'm going to sell that, so sold it for $400. And he told me a couple of weeks ago, I was like, that was mine.
That's a bastard.
I know, that's what I'm like. I'm like, you bastard. But
to be fair, the other favourite, I mean, we've completely gone off tangent, but who cares? We always do.
we always do.
DJ Hero was, I
played that once. It was
ordered
weird.
Pre-order, and literally I went and got. In fact, I think I've still got.
Oh, don't.
Because I got the because when you order the pre-order one, you get, whenever you order any game, you get have all this free extra stuff that doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
But it's just pretty. And it got the promotional vinyl disc, even though it's not got anything on it. It's an
Unpressed.
Unpressed, that's it.
Yeah.
An unpressed thing. But it just looks good.
So it's weird. So they just gave you a random blank.
Oh no, it's a random blank, but it's no. So it's got DJ Hero, like all the iconography on the thing, and on the back of the sleeve is all the extra unlock codes for
that's cool.
If you ordered the pre-order, you got Daft Punk and several other major things. Because obviously there was all these collaborations with it, and it was so. But I loved DJ Hero. It was so good.
I played it a few times, and I was like,
used to be the world's greatest DJ, and I was like,
yeah. DJ Elegant up here in Ibiza.
Oh no, it was DJ Fatty. DJ Fatty was going to be my name. I already decided it was going to be DJ Fatty sort of thing. Although I'm pretty sure that's probably been taken by someone.
Always good. Always that self-deprivation. DJ name? Yes.
Hey, listen. All right, as you've seen, I was a lot bigger of a man back in the day.
I will agree, there was a lot more of you to love. I agree.
There was a lot of me to love back in the day, Dez, and you know it.
Yes. But even then.
Anyway, I'm going to get back on topic. So, I wanted to get a next generation console. I've never owned a PlayStation, and once I had an Xbox, I was firmly in Xbox's camp. Because there is only 2 camps.
Yeah.
Nintendo can argue they're a camp, but they're not.
Yeah. I mean, the Switch at the end of the day is just a glorified handheld that you can play through your TV.
Yes, and it's lovely.
And for what it is, it's perfect.
Stepping stone console, it's fabulous.
And for Mario Kart, pretty much.
Oh yeah, Mario Kart, I mean, the Pokemon games, yes, absolutely. I mean, the fact that I loved so I had obviously my Xbox One and sold it because obviously moving abroad, none of the games I buy here would work on it because of regional, which is stupid. That's the one thing the Nintendo got right.
Yeah.
Okay? The fact is, and we did, like when we went travelling back to the UK and we took the Switch with us to keep mainly me and my son quiet, right? Okay.
Good reason.
We've got to keep us quiet at some point. The fact is that if we physically bought a physical cartridge, is that you can play it.
Yeah.
Okay. But if I was to buy a game while I'm in the UK, the second I left the UK, I can't play it, which is a bit stupid.
Yeah.
But the fact is that if there was a physical disc, a physical thing, you can play it, and I thought that's really good. Whereas, Sony and Microsoft, they don't allow that, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's stupid. But I understand why, because obviously, theoretically, you could get cheaper games online through various other markets.
Yeah,
and they want to try and keep each individual market.
Or you just do what Brendan did. So Brendan, for his PlayStation 1, he went and got it chipped. Yeah, he went and got it chipped.
Chipped.
My first ever Xbox was chipped, and then we had Pete the Pirate, who was this Asian dude. Not his real name. We just referred to him as that. That's what we called him.
Oh, I love it.
So he was an Asian dude that lived in, I think it was Tottenham or Seddon or something, and we found his number randomly on a classified, and we rang it one time, and I'm like, bro, and he's like, what games do you want? And I'm like, these 10. He's like, all right, I'll be there in an hour and a half. And I'm like, this seems dodgy. But the good thing is you paid him cash when he came. Sure enough, you had to buy 10 games. They were $10 each. Sure enough, Pete the Pirate would come up in his little Honda Civic, hand you give him the money, he would reverse out your driveway and he would drive away. Put them in the machine, they work perfect. Brendan, on the other hand, he worked as a paper boy, and one of the girls that worked there went to Bali every 2 months, just because she loved Bali and she needed a holiday, but she would come back with all these burnt discs. Then what happened is, because Brendan was one of the first kids ever in our school to have a burner, and he got it purely because of this, he would burn her an extra copy because she wanted to give one to one of her friends, and then he would burn himself a copy. So PlayStation 1, we had every single game known to man. And then obviously for anything for my Xbox, we had Pete the Pirate.
Pete the Pirate. I love that.
Yeah.
So fun. It was hilarious. I remember being a kid, and it was all the thing about, especially with the original Xboxes and the original PlayStations, of you could pay 50 quid and get your Xbox chipped, or get whatever, just get a chip. But of course, there was always that risk of, if they don't do it properly, it wrecks it, and and all that jazz. So I never did it. But to be fair, I was like, I don't need to play all these random Japanese games.
Yeah. Well, I didn't care about the Japanese games, but the problem was, as I said before, we were quite poor. So the problem was growing up, those things were worth a fortune, like between $60 and $80, where I could get 5 or 10 games for like $50.
Yeah.
And it was kind of nice. And you'd go down to the Lavo market, the Laverton market, where you'd go there and they'd have dodgy stuff everywhere, to the point where they would actually have all the games there, and then when they asked you, they'd go through the box and they'd hand it to you, but they had them on display. And then every time they saw the cops, they would have this thing where they would flick this sheet that went over all the games, and then they would have random like boots and baby clothes on there or something like this. So as the cops walk past, you'd hear this whistle, and then all of a sudden you'd be looking at a game, and then next thing you know is, before you know what's happening, you're looking at baby clothes. And the guy just winks at you, and the cops walk and they have a look around, they can't see anything, not a problem. And then they would have the Xbox repair guy that would be repairing Xbox, where he was just modding them. And the good thing about him too, though, is he would do it, and then he would turn it on, put a burnt game in, and show you that it worked. And I was like, fantastic. Yeah. And I know one of my friends did get the red ring when he did it, and he went, sorry about that, mate. And then he goes, my bad. Did a little thing, fixed it, turned it back on, was fine. Because the guy could fix the red ring of death. Because all it is it's an issue with the laser. So all he did is put in a replacement laser, and he was golden.
Sweet.
And I was like, yes.
That's immense.
Lavo market, baby.
Lavo market. I mean, I think everyone had that market growing up. Although, God, those days have gone now. I think, sadly.
To be fair, Lavo market's probably still there selling like random shit. Like this fell off a 1972 Buick that no one's ever going to do, and it's broken. But they have car parts there, or tools that look like they're from the dark ages, and people go there and still buy them. And I'm like, how do you pay your weekly thing to go to have a store there, and you're selling literally hot garbage?
Yeah. Oh no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like, do you know that cable from 1983 that I used to plug into my printer? Do you have one of those? And he just goes through and he hands it to you. You're like, why? Like, I swear to God.
I'll tell you what. The last market I went to, there was what was it called? It was named Hamilton. And it popped up, when you Facebook ads.
Oh yeah.
Relevant things you're interested in, and it was Hamilton Antiques and Collectibles Market. Now, bear in mind, we just moved into the house, and Andy was looking for some bits and bobs.
Random
she
crap.
wanted to look for a bird bath and stuff like that. So she was like, she's like, let's try a look, because it's just going to be one of those things that you rock up and it's like, oh, there you go, and it's perfect and it's there. So
yeah.
And we went along, and it was my perfect market. It was all antique, vintage, and collectibles for like toys, games, and all.
Jeez, that's alright.
And it was like collectibles, like in Stitchcraft. There's lots of collectibles like that. It wasn't like antiques. And Elle was kind of like, okay, this is annoying, and I'm kind of livid at you because you kind of looked out on this.
It's like,
The fact
baby,
is I was walking around,
this was your idea, baby. I just came along.
That was it. I was like, hey, you're the one who said let's come to the market. All right. The fact, oh my god, I had to stop myself at one point because there was like, they passed this toy collector guy, and he's got things like the original Tracy Islands for Thunderbirds in the box, and I was like, And she
Problem
went,
is,
"No."
he'd have to know what it's worth.
Oh yeah, no. Every single guy at this market knew exactly what all their shit was worth. There was no chance of, I mean, unless you brought something to also trade. Loads of people, like you could see as we're walking around, and it's just funny because we ended up passing this guy who's selling vintage consoles, and Edward is in awe. He's like, "What is that?" I said, "That's an original Sega Mega Drive." But it says Genesis. Yeah, ignore it. The Genesis was the Eastern, the Eastern world version, and for what we had on the Western side was called Mega Drive, and so Edward was in awe and fascination.
I still remember the funniest thing about getting the Mega Drive because Shane Van Fulik had one. It was awesome, and then he got, I think it was the Sega Saturn, which was you plug the Mega Drive in, and then it would give it a disc drive. Version.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
so
what? And they're like, yeah, this is it gives a disc drive to the Mega Drive. I was like, what?
I remember because it was just when CDs had been introduced, and everyone was like, oh, it's the next big thing. But the gaming community was like, you're going to replace my cartridges? Absolutely not.
Yeah. I still think the cartridge is the thing. Like when the game won't play, you're like, oh, whatever it is, it's not that. Put it in, and it's like, Deborah, and you turn it on and it works. You're like, yes. Do you remember something else? We hired this from Video Easy once, and it made my life. It was the Game Genie. So what it was, so for anybody that doesn't know,
just put cheat codes in.
Yeah, so what it would do is it would slot into the cartridge of your Nintendo. So what you would do is you would slot the cartridge into your Game Genie, and then the other side also had it, so you'd slot it into your Nintendo. And then what would happen is it would come with a book, and you would go, okay, I'm playing Battletoads, and you'd flick through this book, and you're like, okay, cool. And you'd type in the code, and then it would give you like unlimited lives or God mode or stupid things like this. And it had it for like 300 games. It was insanity. And things like that, I'm like, I miss that. Like, don't get me wrong, like, how easy is it right now to be like, bro, I want to buy a new game, and you hop on Steam, you hit the button, it does it, it downloads, it's golden. But the problem with games nowadays is you buy a game, you put it in so that you think the disc holds everything, and it's like, nope, we've got to do like a 300 meg download, and you're like... So I got this opening day, but I can't play it because I have Australian shit internet till like 2 weeks from today. Thanks.
Oh, I remember. Do you remember? Oh my God, God forbid! I feel so old now thinking about this. But the first, obviously, back in the day when you got my friend, because he had a PlayStation, he had Final Fantasy VII, and you had to get to when you got to the end of disc 1, and it says, "Now please insert disc 2."
Yeah, somebody was telling me about that.
The game came on 4 discs.
Yeah.
And God forbid, everyone was precious.
Yeah.
It was the most delicate operation because you just knew the slightest goddamn scratch. The slightest damn scratch. And that disc was ruined. And the fact is people were buying and trading and selling discs. Like, I've got a perfect immaculate condition disc 3 or 4.
See, you know what the best thing is, mate? Toothpaste. You put a little bit of toothpaste on it, and then you wash it, and what it actually does is it fills in the fine details and the fine lines. Yeah. Golden. Seriously, I saved so many discs that way.
God. But I'll tell you, actually, just thinking about the Game Genie, I don't know if the program ever made its way this far down. Obviously, it was a staple of British growing up when I was in the 90s, which was called the Games Master. It was this. It was this like.
Hearing
it was
that.
this kids. I kind of want to say a game show.
So this was from 1992, and it ran for 7 episodes, according to this.
No, it ran for more than 6.
Oh, sorry, 7 seasons. Sorry,
7. I was about to say.
Wrong thing.
Yeah, there was. But basically, obviously, the kids would compete, and then they get to ask the Games Master if you won. Who's winning whatever prize.
Who's this creepy cyborg head that looks like he just has the face like glued to it? Like, you know those horror movies where they cut off the person's face and they wear it? It's kind of like that with a cyborg head.
It is the most horrifying image that I now remember. But yeah, but basically, but obviously they get to ask a question about a game, and the games master would reveal generally something that could have been well known. It might, not, but it would have been well known to adults, not kids. So it was just like, oh, if you want to perform the ultimate power combo attack in Mortal Kombat, always do up, down, left, right, blah, blah, and it'll activate the cheat menu, or what, or and it can do X, Y, and suddenly everyone's like, I used to remember having notebooks. Notebooks, and it would be titled game, and then it would the title of the game, and then I'd write down what he would say, and he was like, if I ever got the game, which I never did with half of them, but he's like, oh, suddenly I've got a leg up on the competition.
But it is true though. Like I remember we had sheets of paper with the same thing where you found out cheat codes. Or do you remember when you couldn't get past something and they had a hotline that you could call?
Yeah.
And so you would call this hotline. So for all these young kids that are listening to this, you would call this hotline, and it would be like $3 a minute, and you'd be like, "Bro,
your parents a fortune."
And your parents would lose it when they see it. But you go, "Bro, I really need to pass this bit, but be quick." And then he'd start going through it. Done that bit, just go to the end. What do I do after this bit? Okay, so I have to wait for him to jump and hit him from underneath. Done. That's all I needed to know. Hang up, and you're like, "Fuck, that just cost me $6." And you're like, and it was like only like a 20-second phone call. You're like, Mum's gonna kill me. So worth it, because then when you beat that boss, you're just like, I'm the king of the world.
And kids, we are, for anyone who is listening, we are anyone who is less than. Well, I don't think
probably.
I reckon 20, but
I reckon even less than 30. I think people may not have heard this.
Pre-internet days, because me and Dez are both older than Google, which was founded in '97. So yeah, so it's like this is before you were able to go and search.
But you used to have pieces of paper in each one of your actual cartridge holders that would have some of the cheat codes there.
Oh yeah, no.
But then all of a sudden you would call friends. You're like, bro, have you beaten level 7 yet? They're like, not me either. Okay, cool. So if you need to hit him while he jumps. He's like, oh, awesome. And you try to limit how many times you call. What you do is you'd have a group of friends, and you'd ask all said group of friends if they could do it. And if one of them could do it, you're like, sweet. And it saves you money because it's only a 30-cent call. Oh, yeah. But then the problem was if none of you could do it, you could be like, bro, I did the last time. Timmy did this time. Eugene, it's your turn. And then Eugene would be like, fuck, all right, quicker. Try to hurry the dude to talk, but they would always want to over-explain things, and you're like, I fucking hate you, just tell me the damn thing!
Oh, God, yes.
So good.
Oh, man. God, I feel like walking down there, it's so fun. So, yeah. So, anyway, back to the original thing.
Yeah.
So, I am wanting to get a next-gen console. Now, the issue is we are... is because, me being me, I've started doing research, which is fine. Now, honestly, if I was going to pick a console right now to go out and buy tomorrow, I'm going to go probably buy an Xbox Series X. Very tempting to buy a PlayStation 5. It would be, especially for the VR stuff and all that, just for a bit of fun and all that jazz. More than happy to. But I'm still an Xbox man. I am still an Xbox man.
Yeah.
I do love Xbox. But while I was doing research, I found out, obviously, I know this year there's a new GTA coming out. Yes. So I was like, all right, okay, so I'm going to hold off and get whatever console until that's out.
Yes.
Because I love me some Grand Theft Auto, baby. I played the original on PC, and that was like one of my favourite games on the PC.
Yeah.
I don't know how I had the skills to convince my mother to buy it, because you had to be 18 to get the game.
Yeah.
Because it was so hard. And I don't know how I convinced my mother to let me get the game. I still don't. I think I was 14, 15. So we're not talking I'm 17 and I'm about right. No, we're talking, it was good times.
We had the best thing. So a mate of mine, Eugene's brother Tyrone, worked at the local video shop. Got the job when he was 15. So he got the job at 15 or 16. So it meant that little 12-year-old Derek and Eugene could go there and get all kinds of things.
Great.
And still to this day, Tyrone is the main reason that we first saw boobs. He let us into the back room with the curtains.
Was that the one with the curtains back in the day?
With the curtains, like literally, it was literally just a black sheet, and it literally looked like somebody had got scissors and cut it up because all the sides were fraying and stuff, and it kind of rolled in on itself. Like, it was such a homemade job, and it looked like there were just 2 tacks nailed up the top, and it was like, that was all it was. But we got through there and we got to look at the covers, and it was the greatest experience of our lives.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, God forbid. But so yeah. So
what did you say? It was Grand Theft you wanted, or Gran Torino?
Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, Grand Theft. Sorry, I thought you said Gran Torino.
So the new GTA 6 is coming out.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
This year, so I'm very much looking forward to that. But while I was doing research on obviously the next gen consoles, because I was like, oh, when's the new versions coming out? So I was like, typed in Xbox, the next Xbox, the next PlayStation, and they're all scheduled for a couple of years' time. So I'm like, oh, well, okay, well, when I get my next gen console, I'll get it. I'll play it for a few years. I'll wait, because I always like to wait like a year after the console's been released, because there's always the bug problems and everything else, and then there tends to be the year after, oh, here's the ultra special speed edition, which is rather good, and it makes it fixed everything.
You're like, here's the other, like, you never want version 1. Version 1 is always going to be a bit of a nightmare, because though they've tested it, it hasn't been properly tested to the extremes that most people.
It hasn't been tested by the consumer. Yeah. But while I was doing that, I came across that the Switch 2 is going to be coming out reportedly this year. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Because I do enjoy having the Switch. Don't get me wrong.
But do you need a second one?
Well, obviously, my son is very much involved with the Switch, and he loves it. And to be fair, obviously, a game that we're both very much enjoying, we both enjoy playing Pokemon together.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of thing. We enjoy doing Pokemon Go when we can, and especially he's desperate for a phone. He's desperate to get himself on a phone. But obviously, that's not going to happen.
No.
So the simple way to obviously limit it, I was thinking, obviously, for his birthday, that maybe we get him, I think, what is it called? The Switch Lite, which is like the step down.
Yeah, so the Switch Lite is pretty much the Switch that you would carry with you, but it can't go on the TV. It's just...
It can't go on the TV. And
it's pretty much like a glorified, massive, like, Game Gear / Steam Deck / Backbone / all these number of handhelds that came out because the Asian market loves handhelds.
And I was like, well, I'll get him one of them. But obviously, when I saw this, I'm like, ooh, well, if the Switch 2's coming out, why don't I get myself the upgrade?
You fucking douchebag.
What? What's wrong with that? What is wrong with...
It's like, happy birthday, Eddie. Here's my used console. Enjoy.
Here's the console you've been playing for the last 3-5 years.
Like, it was bad enough. Like, as I said, we were quite poor, and I'm the oldest. So you'd think, yes, I'm not getting hand-me-downs. Not so true. Because we had one of our friends that lived around the corner that was a year older than me. So quite often I'd get hand-me-downs from them. And I'm just like, oh my god. And I'm like, and you're giving him a hand-me-down console. Like,
right. Like,
be better. Be better.
Well, right. I could be better. I could. But there's one factor you've not put into the equation.
Is that you really want to play with a new console?
I didn't think of that one, but that's a good point, actually.
Like, you just want the new pretty things.
No. It's the fact is I'm a northerner and I'm a cheapskate.
That is also true.
There is that. Okay, right. The fact is you lived in England long enough, and the fact is you know that the further north you go, the more we want a deal, we want a bargain. All right?
I noticed that. Yeah, you'd go up north, and you'd just be like, I have £1 in my hand. Why do I have 80 cents? Why do I have 50? As you go up, the coins just drop in value. You're like, what?
Oh yeah, no, we like a deal of that. We like to make sure we're getting a good bargain. So the fact is that I want to get myself the new console, and the fact is, well, I could obviously there'll probably be a trade-in thing. There will be, there always is. Or trade in your old Switch and you get this much off and all that jazz. But I'm like, well, I don't want to be buying two new Switches realistically. So it's like, well, why? And they're going to be backwards compatible because that's one thing Nintendo are really good at.
Yeah.
So the fact is that obviously the only issue there may be is new Pokemon games that come out.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So obviously playing the original Nintendo games will be fine, sort of thing, but playing it in like Switch 2 games might be the issue.
Yeah, well, that's one good thing about both the Xbox and the new PlayStation, because the Xbox you can play all of Xbox One games, you can play a select 360 and a whole heap of the original ones as well. And then PlayStation have done a really good job where they've made all PlayStation 4 games, and I think they've optimized them. They've optimized the PlayStation 4 Pro ones, which is weird. So they've even tried to optimize some of them to allow it to come out. So I think in that sense, I'm kind of liking that. And I feel like it's something that we need to do. Like, I've got friends that have just bookshelves of old games. Yeah. And the problem is, they're like, it gets annoying reconnecting the thing, or they have like a little splitter or something, where if they're backwards compatible, it just means that you can still enjoy the games you love.
It is. It's one of these things. Because I didn't play many. I remember they brought it on the Xbox One. I think it was in the last year. I was in England, or it was like a couple of years before we left. That suddenly started having, because obviously if you're part of the the Xbox One Pass or whatever it was, you suddenly had the option to download, like, there'd be so many free games a month, and they were older games, and it's like, oh sweet, you had that nostalgia value and all, but it was all free because basically they realised people weren't picking up the Pass anymore, and it was like, well, how do we get investment back into it? So suddenly being able to, because the problem is with the Pass is that the only thing it was giving you at the time was, oh, if you want to play multiplayer, you need the Pass. That's it.
Yeah.
But it was really only, the only game I was playing at the time on multiplayer would have been Halo 3. I think it was. I was just like, I wasn't playing Fable multiplayer or anything like that. I was literally, that was the only game I wanted to play, and it was, even then I wasn't logging hours every week. I may have done the odd Call of Duty,
and it's not worth it. And that's the thing. And
Modern Warfare or something like that. But I wasn't, it wasn't worth it to me. I wasn't one of these guys who's hitting hours every day, and I was just playing, a couple hours on the weekend maybe. Fun. Until Edward discovered what the bright button did. Oh God, he destroyed half my save files because he kept turning it on and off without me knowing. And then I went to log on one day and I'm like, why is my GTA thing saying it's corrupt and I can't log on? And I thought, that's a bit weird. And I thought, well, I'll just turn it all off. And then I went and got a drink. I thought, I'll just turn it all off, power it all off. Depowered it, plugged it back in. I thought, I'll just grab myself a drink. And then I realised that Edward, as a toddler, was like, just kept pressing it on and off.
Oh no.
And of course, by doing sudden start and sudden reboots, it just corrupted everything.
Oh no, that'd be heartbreaking.
I'll tell you what, if you ever want a challenging moment as a parent of where you want to really, really hurt your own child, it's when you log on and realise all your save files are gone.
As one of my friends said, she I can't remember, she got a bag, and it wasn't a Birkin, but it was like one of those ridiculously expensive ones.
Oh yeah.
And the little kid decided that he was going to paint it. So he poured paint inside of it, and he was painting it and stuff, because Mum obviously ran in, threw it onto the couch, went and did a few things, forgot about it there, and then all of a sudden came out. And she said something that is so wrong that I'm just like, oh my God. So I'm not going to mention her name so that we don't get a whole heap of hate. She's like, in that moment, I understand why sometimes you just want to shake them. And I'm like, oh my God. And she's like,
hey, listen, no shade at all, I'll tell you what.
Alright, I thought that was fucking brutal. And I'm like, oh my God. And she's like, that bag cost me more than their first couple of years of schooling. And I'm like, why do you need a bag that expensive? She's like,
that is a question. Don't get me wrong. That is a question of why you need a bag that expensive. Don't get me wrong. I have the entire thing against the fashion industry, and I don't get it. But still.
But yes.
No, the fact that I think the worst time that I nearly screamed my head off at Edward, I think it was Red Dead Redemption 1. I think it was.
Such a good game.
I think it was brand new out as well. I think, if I remember right. I can't remember. It was some game like that.
Yeah.
And I'm playing, but the problem is that I have one of these. I think when I'm playing something, I focus on it.
Yeah.
So, and Ellie says she says she's amazed by it because literally she's just like, bombs could go off and I wouldn't even care or notice.
Look at the ADHD kid. He's concentrating for a chance.
It is. I swear, it is like a form of ADHD. But literally, I hyper focus, and I was playing along, and then suddenly the screen dies, and I'm like, but of course I snap out of it, and it's only because Edward just turned it off at the power button. And at which point, but internally, my mind is screaming, and I couldn't get anything out because suddenly it's like brain is short circuited.
I'm like, I can't hit him because he's
between me getting angry, my other side, the logical side, has gone, crap, when did we last save?
I love how that's your problem. It's like, fuck, did I save that? No.
No, but that's the problem, is that literally, immediately, anger immediately is there and wants to take over, but the logical view is, oh crap, when did we save? And then all that computing starts happening in the back of the brain, and it's like...
That's one of the best things now is most games now have autosave, which makes it a lot easier. Gone are the days of like, when did I last save? Or you remember those times we used to save it and then you run in and do something and then you die, but then the problem is you didn't go back far enough to be able to save yourself. So you're in this inevitable loop.
Right, I need to immediately load and then jump to the left as quick as possible.
And you could never do it, and it was just because you saved it.
Yeah.
The exact wrong point.
The amount of time.
But yeah, like
that happened on games.
to be fair though, I feel like between the Xbox Series S and the PS5, for me personally, it's down to price. It's also down to your TV. And it's also down if the exclusive games are enough to want you to go over there. So the biggest thing with the two Xboxes, and this is something that actually Callie, one of my writers, wrote about that was actually really handy, is that for an Xbox or a PlayStation to get 4K, it needs to have a HDMI 2.1, which not all TVs have. And even if they do, they normally only have one. So you need to read your manual to find out when it was. If the TV's more than, I think it's like 5 years old, it may not even have one.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, because I know a lot of people complain about, I can't get 4K. That is the main reason. And to the point where I actually did this with a friend where I just took out one of them and I plugged it into the other HDMI, and all of a sudden it was getting 4K. And that's all it is because it needs the power to draw off that.
Yeah.
Obviously you have the exclusive games, which can be a big thing. Spider-Man's a big one.
Yeah.
Gran Turismo, Horizon Forbidden West, God of War 2. God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, Final Fantasy 16, and then due to be released in 2024 is The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered.
Well, also with recent controversy as of this week, Palworld.
Yes, Pokemon, Wish's version of Pokemon. I won't lie.
For a Wish version of Pokemon, it looks damn good.
I must say though, like I've seen a whole heap of people playing it, and there's like cracks where you can actually attack a human and catch a human, like in a Pokeball, where people are like, I can't believe I just did that, or get one of the world bosses where there's a person riding them, and you can do that. Yep. But it is weird because you do see Pokemon, Pal friends or whatever the friggin' hell they call
Pal friends, yes.
Pal friends, shall we call them? That look very similar to a lot of the Pokemon. But what I love too, though, is that you can give them guns.
Oh yeah,
and I must say,
the fact that is probably the most appealing thing about it, right?
Yeah.
But did you see what happened? Literally, I think it was literally in less than 48 hours. Some guy had modded
Ash into it.
Not just Ash, he modded every single Pokemon into it.
Oh, did he? I saw the one where he had Ash and he had a couple of Team Rocket people and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, no,
it has sold 8.
This person modded the entire thing, right? Which that is the thing that prompted Game Freak / Nintendo to step up, and they got the mod shut down.
Yeah,
they're suing him, and they're also now chasing after any content creators who promoted it.
Yeah, that's kind of weird because I do feel like, especially for content creators, there are quite often where you get games that you obviously, because you make your living from it, you may get preview copies of games, and it does bring in a lot of views because people really want to watch it. Some of them also get paid or get promotional items from that. And as a content creator myself, there are times where, you do get stuff. And there's been times where I've used something and haven't been a massive fan of it, or I feel like, okay, I'm being paid to play this game. I can still give my own opinion about it, but you're also like, do I miss out on payment just because of this, but I do think they're going to find a hard time with them saying, because originally they weren't going to sue, and that was originally where they were talking about that it's hard to sue because it is slightly different, but you do see these pictures next to each other and you can kind of go, I can kind of see where you're going, but at the end of the day though, all they really need to do is bring out a few random ones or change out some of them, and I feel like they'd be able to get away with it.
I don't know if Game Freak will, or slash Nintendo will win the lawsuit against Pal World.
But they're just there to slow it down, and they're probably just there to waste some money. But to be fair, they've just sold 8 million copies in like 48 hours.
Oh yeah. Oh no, absolutely. The fact I mean, even I look at it and I go, that looks quite fun actually.
Yeah.
The fact is that it's. I mean, obviously it's taken. Because like the one thing I liked about so obviously with the recent Pokemon games, I with the Switch I got Pokemon Arceus. Loved the open world, loved being able to run around and just catch Pokemon, and because you see them out and about and all that jazz. I'm like, great, love this. And then obviously Pokemon Scarlet and Violet got announced. And I thought, oh great, they're going to take that element, just take that open world element, that catchability, where you don't have to battle every single goddamn thing, and do it. You can kind of have that open world aspect. But they kind of went, no, this is how you play Pokemon, and it's like. So we're just going to ignore all this really good stuff that you did.
Yep.
Like, really good stuff that everybody likes. And just go, oh, well, it's nice and big open. You can see the Pokemon. It's like, that's not the problem.
That does not help me. So just to do some...
Yes, it's nice to be able to see the shinies. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. But I want to be able to run around and try and catch it. Because the fact is you end up spending so much time going... Oh crap, I need to go bloody mine more stuff. Or I need to do a mining run so I can get stuff to build Pokeballs. Which is fine, and that's not a problem to me. Because, I understand there's a bit of grind involved, because I want to do it the long way around, because I don't want to battle everything until it's half dead and all that jazz. Whereas there are some people who are absolutely, no, this is how you play Pokemon. And everything else. And that's fine.
To be fair though, that grind used to always get, I think I played it once on a friend's computer or Switch or something, and I'm like... It's just so grindy, and then I'm like, or you can do the battle route where it's just like, that's also grindy as well. Like it's just like it's like pick your grind, and it feels like it is. Like, there's certain games where I get that you have to do certain things to get certain things, not a problem. But then there's also there's a grind and then there's a reward versus there's a grind and then there's a reward. And that's what it felt like with some of those games. But I've just done some quick sums. So they've sold 8 million copy in 48 hours. The game retails in Australia on Steam for $43.95. That doesn't include, obviously, Xbox release and stuff like that. That means that they would have made, if obviously everything was profit, 351 million. And like a little bit of change. Like $600,000 change. So $3,051.6 million on this game in 48 hours, and it is going bananas.
It is going bananas. It was like I think even I saw today, popped up on my TikTok, that they've announced like PvP battles, raid events like Destiny. They've got like a big plan now that they've realised it's actually a big success. And stuff like that. So it's going to it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So it's kind of, you know what it's kind of like with this potential lawsuit. Let's say a potential because it isn't official yet. There is a lawsuit.
Yeah.
With this potential lawsuit, it's kind of a bit like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, where everyone's like, "Whoa, what's going to happen?"
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be very intrigued, realistically.
Well, just to give you some idea, so I've just logged on to Twitch, just chatting, which is normally just mostly girls doing stuff that they probably are borderline.
Yes. No, we're aware of what they're just chatting.
That's number one. League of Legends is number 2. Not surprising. Okay. Grand Theft Auto 5 is obviously number 3. Street Fighter 6, and then it's Pal World. Pal World currently has 114,000 viewers.
All right.
Valiant and Fortnite only have about 50. So,
ooh, that's interesting. That's a bit of a shake-up.
So yeah, so I mean, Street Fighter is a big one, and I believe there's a massive tournament which might account for that. League of Legends always nudge. Just Chatting is what most people put for things that they don't know. But to be fair, Pal World is killing it. Like more than Fortnite, more than Valiant, more than Dota, more than Apex. Tekken 8 just come out. More than that. Even like things like Call of Duty and stuff. It is insane. So that's some huge numbers for a game that just came out. And to be fair, for everything that I've seen, it does look fun as hell. And I'm really tempted.
It looks really... I mean, I honestly, I am very tempted, sort of thing. I'm very tempted by that one, sort of thing. And I'm just... Again, I'm waiting for it because I know there's lots of bugs in it at the moment, sort of thing. Because lots of people have reported... You see it all over TikTok. Thank God. People are reporting things left, right, and centre. But then again, it's a new game. This is what happens with any brand new game these days. Because gone are the days where a cartridge would be released, and that's how the game works.
Yeah, I know. And back in the good old days where you just get a cartridge.
Back in the day, I feel really long in the tooth saying it that way, but yeah.
It's kind of funny too though, because I've just clicked on Just Chatting just to see if what I think is correct, and I'm sending Jordan a screenshot. So it is 10 shades of ridiculous. Like it literally looks like the top ones are 5 girls wearing not much, and then one dude that is reacting to thing who's a pretty big time streamer to begin with, and I'm just like, that makes sense. Yeah, like some of them are like, really, like this is Twitch, not Pornhub.
Oh yeah, oh no, they've I know. Oh God, I saw it ages ago that they've changed all the rules up on it and all that jazz. Anyway, I'll tell you what, we're gonna end the episode there. Nice and quick.
But my question to you is: have you decided? Xbox, PlayStation? You sticking with what you know, or you? Because to be fair, though, looking at the specs, price is very similar. At the moment, I know PlayStation 5 is a little bit higher, mainly because they're a pain in the ass to get, where Xbox Series X are a lot better equipped. Backwards compatibility, I'm always going to get things. Xbox probably slightly beats that out. CPU, you're looking at 3.5 versus 3.8 gigahertz, so Xbox kind of wins that. GPU, you've got 10.3 to 12 teraflops, which, to be fair, Xbox wins, but it's not going to be 16 gig of RAM. The only thing that I would say is that you've got the storage, which is 825 to 1 terabyte. With games being as big as they are, you're probably going to want an external drive for this as well, just because it is that. Part of me would lean towards Xbox, so Xbox wins that one. Both of them have 8K resolution. Both of them can have up to 520 FPS, and both of them have a 4K Blu-ray player. But the big key for me personally is I'm like, don't get me wrong, Xbox on the specs looks slightly better, but I feel like the thing is availability, price, and exclusivity is the ones that are going to probably, for me, be like, this is where I would go.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to play the Spider-Man, if you want to play the Horizon, if you want to play the Gods of War, by all means, if you like Halo Infinite, if you like Starfields, if you like Forza and stuff like that, I feel like it really depends on if those exclusive ones are enough to sway you one way or the other. But based on just the actual mechanics of it, Xbox slightly bears it out. But to be fair, it's not enough for me to go, definitely get A over B.
Yeah, at the moment, I'm going to probably hold off until once I know GTA 6 is coming and all that jazz, and then we'll go from there. But I am very much
Team Green. Team Green.
I'm still very much Team Xbox. I can't help myself.
Team Green, baby. Team Green.
Anyway, we'd like to hear your opinion, ladies and gentlemen. Which console should I be going for, and should I be so cruel as to just buy myself a new one and give the old one?
And please, so we'll put a poll, so it's either Xbox, PlayStation, or Jordan should just get both.
Or Justice for Edward.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, much love, people. Thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you do like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And peace out.
Layers.